afternoon. So I cannot wait to do this video, which is all about 8 years of the mental fitness training I've done, practice, research, coaching, but we're going to do it in about 15 or 10-15 minutes. That isn't to say that mental fitness, everything you learn after this, you'll be good. I think the point is let's start making it digestible and accessible. Now, I've literally done the work for you in terms of trying loads of different things and, reading every book under the sun. But why I'm excited to do this video is because I think if I had this when I was starting my journey, it would have been so helpful, because it's a bit like a list, like a kind of a bucket list that you can keep going back to just remind yourself of those key principles and foundations of mental fitness. And I still return back to them. So what I'm going to do is there are, let me check how many principles I did. Maybe like 12 principles. And I'm going to mention them and then just chat about them a tiny bit. I'd suggest during it, if you want, take notes, reflect on it, even like in the comments, just challenge me, ask me if you want more information on it. But really, you're in for a treat. And if you don't know who I am, my name's Maya, and I'm the UK's leading mental fitness and visualization experts. So I work with elite athletes, C-suites, high-performing teams to really rewire the brain so you can think, feel, and perform like the top 1%. My niche is visualization, but this particular thing will include a lot of different aspects of mental fitness. So let's get started. Okay, so number 1, you don't have to believe every thought that you have. Now, this was kind of game-changing for me because our brain, we have between 40,000 and 60,000 thoughts a day. And a lot of us, when our brain tells us, okay, you're not good enough, or you shouldn't do this, or that's going to really be embarrassing, we tend to believe it. But actually, the brain is going to have so many thoughts that the real power lies in you understanding that actually, I don't have to believe this. I can choose the story I want to say. Now, where this gets even more exciting is a strong word, where it gets even more useful is when you are feeling maybe mentally weak or stressed or tired, knowing that in those moments, you definitely don't want to believe every thought you have. Because, sometimes if I know that I haven't had enough sleep or something has, let's say, triggered me, I know my thought patterns are going to be a little bit more in the negative spiral. And that's where, if we don't have that awareness to be like, hey, actually, I don't have to believe every thought that I'm thinking right now, that just gives you a bit of safety. And it's comforting to know, okay, it's okay. I don't need to take these personally. So that's number 1. Don't believe every thought that you have. Number 2, your breath is the remote control for your nervous system. So I like this idea because knowing that it's remote control means that you can control it. You can take ownership of your nervous system. Now, this is something we were never taught in school, but your nervous system technically rules your world, because when you walk into a room, whether you feel safe, when you're talking to someone, when you're building a new relationship, whether it's romantic, friendship, colleagues, your nervous system is always giving you signals and signs. And the nervous system is so closely linked to your survival state, so your fight, flight, freeze, etc., that if we can learn, okay, how do we, let's say, regulate the nervous system or calm it down if it's fearful or doubtful or anxious. So where your breath comes in is knowing that, hey, if I do these little routines of my breath, then I can actually start to lower, let's say, the panic in my nervous system, or even heighten it if it needs a bit of adrenaline. Let's say you are doing a match or you've got a game day. It can be great for that. So one of the best ones is breathing in for 4. So then you pause for 4. You exhale. And then pause again for 4. And even just doing that now, like I can even feel my nervous system completely changed. Like my tone of voice is slightly different. I'm not as like buzzed. And that's amazing, right? Like you get to choose how you want to show up and how your body feels safe. So that's a really great one. The other one that can be so good for quite an instant reset is what we call like a physiological sigh is what we call a physiological sigh. And that's where you do a double breath in. So it's where you do a breath in When you get to the top, you breathe in a little bit more, and then you exhale. And you do that 5 times, and what that does is it completely resets your nervous system. So it's like switching off and switching on again. So these are just 2 examples of where breath work really can be that remote control for your nervous system. Okay, the third one. Don't chase motivation, build discipline. So I think if we look in society, everyone is talking about motivation. Like, how do I be more motivated? Or I don't feel very motivated. And the truth is, you can't be... The thing I've learned is that you can't be motivated all the time, and that actually shouldn't be the aim, because motivation is so important for starting something. Like, it starts the race. It makes you maybe take action. It makes you start the business or ring that person up. That motivation is such a good way to begin. But it only starts the race. It's discipline that is going to get you over that finish line. So yes, you can experience motivation and enjoy it, but it's not about chasing it. You're not going to feel motivated all the time. Whether you are an athlete, a high performer, or Susan from down the road, like, you won't be motivated all the time. But so many people come to me and they're like, Maya, how do I stay motivated? And I think there's an element of, yes, we need some level of intrinsic motivation where, there's that purpose, there's that passion, and you want to keep going. But ultimately, there are going to be days you just don't want to do it. And you maybe don't enjoy it, and you don't feel super aligned to it. And that's where discipline can really help you build that foundation. So it's all about building discipline. And I talk a lot about this in my book, because I have 7 rules for discipline. Maybe I'll do a video on that as well. But ultimately, discipline is built in those tiny, tiny steps, and it's keeping those promises you really make to yourself. Okay, number 4, confidence is earned through promises. Hey, there you go. Confidence is earned through promises kept to yourself. So, I love this one because I think we're all wanting to be a little bit more confident, and I think a great place to start is keep the promises you make to yourself. And by that I mean, if you say I'm going to go to the gym, go. Because every promise that you break with yourself, no matter how small, even if it's like, okay, I'm going to ring my friend tonight, and you don't realize it, but your self-esteem and your integrity is going down and down and down. And when this then compounds, you really start to lose that confidence, because think about it. If you break the promises you make to yourself, you're basically telling yourself, I don't trust me. I don't trust my words. I'm not going to follow through with what I said I'm going to do. And therefore, if we can't build that own trust in ourselves, how are we meant to be confident with others or in our work and life? And so just knowing that true confidence starts with, can I keep the promises I make to myself, no matter how big or small? And if you find that hard, start with the really, really small ones. Okay, then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Number 5, rest is part of the grind. Look, there's not loads to say here other than the fact that so many of us, we treat rest as a reward for the work, but rest is part of it. If you can reframe rest and resetting and recharging and relaxing as part of the work, it will change how you show up for yourself, but also then how you can be productive and perform. So think of it like an athlete. After, they've had big training days or a match day, they're going to take a rest day. And in the same way, let's say when you're on a diet, you have a cheat day. It's that concept of like, we need to create balance here, but we need to be so proactive with the rest that we're putting in. Okay, emotions aren't problems, they're messages. Now, this is a really important one because a lot of us are quite scared of our emotions, but similar to the thoughts one for number 1, it's not that we have to believe every emotion or judge every emotion. The point is, it's just a signal. It's a message. It's something saying, hey, like, I don't feel very safe here, or hey, I'm not very familiar with this. So think of them as, it's data. It's a data point. It's not a director, but so many of us treat it like a director. So if you are feeling sad, anxious, fearful, happy, etc., see it as like, okay, bit of data here. It's a message. What do I need to think about it? Or should I be a bit curious about it? But don't allow it to just completely rule your day. Okay, progress over perfection, always. When I had a conversation with one of the athletes I work with, and she's a runner, and she was just saying, I'm always thinking I need to do the perfect run because I've done it before. But that perfection gets in the way of your performance because we can't be perfect all the time. In fact, it doesn't exist. Sometimes the conditions aren't perfect, or, you haven't had the perfect day. It's okay. Even this concept of perfection, just like, where has it come from? On whose grounds? Whereas when we put our attention on progressing, so whether that's getting 1% better every day or learning or, making mistakes so that you can get better, that is where we can really improve our craft and also improve our confidence through that. And that one shift mentally is so empowering to be like, hey, am I still making progress? Because it will make you also reflect thinking, yeah, I am. And so I can be proud of that. Okay, this one, my favorite. So this is I think we're on number 7. Or 8. The story you tell yourself is your ceiling. Just think about that. There's a ceiling. The stories we say, the narratives, the beliefs, it becomes the ceiling to what you can do, what you can achieve, and who you can be. So if you are telling yourself a story that I can never do it, or because it failed once, it's going to happen again, or I'm never going to win this particular tournament, or, people don't think I'm very confident, then that literally becomes your ceiling. It means you can't break through that unless you are aware of it and you choose to say another story. And this is the crux of mental fitness. Can you take control of your narrative? And with this, to create a new ceiling, one that's better, we repeat. We've got to repeat a new story. So let's say your ceiling is, okay, I feel like an imposter. And we make this ceiling, actually, no, I deserve to be here. I'm excited to be here. Just think about what you can experience in the middle of those two. So choose your story and own your narrative. Okay, a few more to go. Self-trust is the real flex. So I like this one because when I talk to people about like, what do you want? And a lot of high performers and athletes, they're like, I want to be more confident, or I want to achieve my goals, or I want to manage resilience better. It all comes down to, do you trust yourself? And there's a great analogy of the bird on a branch. And it explains that the bird isn't trusting that the branch won't break. The bird is trusting that it can trust... Ooh. The bird is trusting that it can rely on its wings. So it trusts itself to be able to fly away if the bird... Wow, this is a tough one to say. If the branch breaks, the bird can trust that it can keep flying. Okay, yay. I got there in the end. And I love that. But so many of us, we are trying to trust our environment and things we can't control. But really, it's about building the trust with ourselves. So self-trust is a skill that, again, no one has been taught. But think about it. When we think of trust, we always think about it with others. But it's about ourselves. That's what's really key. Okay. Then, the goal isn't to feel good all the time. The goal isn't to feel good all the time. It's to feel everything fully. I think sometimes in society there's a lot of this narrative like positive vibes only. It's all about being happy all the time, and I just don't think that's true, because it's not the human experience. Accepting ourselves fully is the sadness, the anger, all of those things, and that in itself is the beauty and the complexity of being human. So, and there's a great saying like sunshine all day makes a desert. So embrace every part of your emotions and your complex brains. Okay, 2 more. Acceptance isn't giving up, it's making peace. So I used to find acceptance so hard, and sometimes still do. And I think because it feels like giving up, it feels like you're, letting the other person win or letting the situation win. But sometimes you just can't control these things. And knowing that you can create peace because you've decided to close that door instead of waiting for it to shut is so liberating. And acceptance is a process, and you sometimes have to remind yourself to constantly do it. But is it worth it? 100%. It's so, so useful. Okay, last 2. You can't control your first thought, but you can choose your second. So I like this because it really is true that sometimes our thoughts are so everywhere that it comes back to that thing of don't believe everything you think, but then choose what you're going to think about it. So life is that 10% of what happens to us and 90% of how we react. And so, if you have a thought saying, okay, you're a bad person, you're not good enough, your second thought can be like, hey, look, that was quite a harsh thought. Let me be a bit kinder. So that second thought is where we have power. And the last thing I'm going to say, which I love this one, is you don't find yourself, you build yourself. You are the architect of your life. You get to choose how you're going to live your life. You get to choose who you're going to be, the energy you want to put into this world. And we forget that. So really remember, it's not that, life's just about leaving it by chance and finding who you are. No, like build it. Be intentional. Be like, I want to be this person. I want to be kinder. I want to choose to, be this type of friend, mother, athlete, whatever it is. So those are some key lessons that from the 8 years of mental fitness practice I've done, they are very, very prominent. But there's also 8 more I have, but I think I'm going to do it on another video because I like watching like 15-minute videos. I think any more than that can get a lot. So if you enjoyed it and you want another one, well, you want the part 2, please let me know because I had loads of fun. And yeah, let me know in the comments which one resonated, which one maybe didn't, which one you already do. And I will see you in another video. And if you want to learn more about mental fitness or how to train the brain, rewire it, then my book Visualize is available to order on all places. You can see it in the comments. And again, I'd love to hear any feedback you have there. So I will see you next time.